Greetings. This is Justin Allen, the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Nicole, who is a dual certified family and acute care nurse practitioner. Currently, she is working full-time in her own practice that she started about a year ago. She offers direct primary care, hormone replacement therapy, weight loss, and aesthetic services in a med spa type setting within the practice. She's needing assistance growing as she has become a slave to her own business and is looking for advice on how to hire another provider and how to grow successfully. Hey, Nicole, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for hopping on here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a nurse practitioner for and what sort of things you've been doing and, basically how you started your practice.
Yeah, well, my name is Nicole. I am dual certified, as you mentioned. And so primarily my background is in emergency medicine. And then in the height of COVID, I kind of switched over to primary care for a while. Saw our healthcare system full circle that way and decided, well, I think I could probably do this better and I'd like to. So I discovered you through, I don't even know how actually, but I discovered you probably an ad of some sort. And I hyper focused on all of your podcasts and articles. And that was on July 9th of last year, 2022. And I opened our doors on September 14th. So I was really eager to get started. And so since then, we have kind of hit the ground running, and we're coming up on a year, and we have about 500 patients across all services. And I am a slave. I work full time at our business, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, seeing patients. And then I fall asleep at my computer, making sure I can run the business as smoothly as I can, which has created a lot of stress. So I want to manage that work life balance like everybody's after. And I know that's kind of the jump start of it all. So I'm ready to bring on another nurse practitioner. We're also going to hire another receptionist at the same time. So I, want to make sure I'm doing that the right way. I'm nervous about it. I know it needs to happen. So I'm just ready to take that next step.
Okay. So say that one more time. You've become a slave to your business.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. The opposite of what I want.
Right. So this is something that happens a lot to just any business owner. It doesn't matter if you're a nurse practitioner, practice owner, or if you own a sub shop, like it doesn't matter. You can easily become a slave to your own business. And the thing is, when you first get started, it just kind of comes with it unless you start a business right from the get-go with hiring other people doing the job that you're going to be doing, right? Yeah. So as a nurse practitioner, I think I think we're a little bit more prone to it because we're the ones that actually see the patients. We're the one that prescribe. We're the ones that diagnose, who order labs, et cetera, right? Yeah. So
most business.
Yeah. So, it's kind of hard for us not to become a slave to our own business, after a year or two, because you're the product, right? You're the product, Yeah. So you are in a, you're having a good problem right now, right?
Yes,
Um,
I try to remind myself of that daily. This is a good problem to have.
this is, this is a good problem to have, So, pat yourself on the back, applaud yourself because you're in a good spot. So with that said, what's your revenue like on a monthly basis right now?
So monthly, we're doing about 71 on average. Obviously, we have some slower months,
Sure.
but we have not made it over 71 K in a month yet. So my
Okay.
goal for next year would be to hit that, 90 to 100.
Nice. Okay. So your practice is approaching that $1 million a year business almost.
Yeah, I ran the numbers because I knew you would ask me those questions, and we're right at 490 in revenue of this year so far.
I got you. Okay. So the $70,000, this high end one has just recently happened just in the last couple months.
Yeah, that happened in May.
May.
So
Okay.
since May, we've been trending that way.
Yeah. Okay. And for anyone listening to this, we recorded this in September 2023. So, yeah. Okay. So, within a year, you could be, let's just say a year from today, September 2024, you should probably be at $1 million or
Yeah,
close.
I hope so. We just started offering some pellets too, and there's a BioT provider nearby who's going to be retiring. So I'm starting to advertise that we're doing pellets as well because there's nobody in our area that does that. I'm in a rural community, in a small town, so
Very nice.
it's been working out great for me because of that.
Are you going BioT route or are you doing it independently?
So I'm reluctant to say that I did go with BioT, and for a couple of reasons. I thought long and hard about it, but I really wanted the support and the training. And I took the hormone optimization course through you guys, but not the pellet one. And I really, really, really wanted to snag all those patients that are adhering to BioT already uptown. That drive about an hour to get there right now. And so I really wanted to maximize my chance of snagging all those patients over. And then my contract is 2 years instead of 5. I was able to do that. So I was happy about that. But their overhead is definitely different than what I would like to see.
Yeah, you're gonna be giving up 50%.
Yeah, it's about my price is $650, and for female I'll pay around $180 to them.
I got you. Okay, so that's not terrible.
That's not as bad. I'm still hitting based on my pricing. I'm still $50 cheaper than what they're paying now in the town further out. And then also I'm still making $111 per month per patient, but it's not, I would like it to be closer to like 125, but I'm still
Nice.
happy that it's above.
Perfect. You're following exactly what I'm teaching. At least $100 a month profit, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
so I didn't sign until I knew all the pricing, and I was like, let me do that. And this provider, he's got thousands of patients that drive all the way from everywhere.
Nice.
They drive past me. And so I'm hoping to snag them all.
Hell yeah. Good for you. All right, cool deal. So you're going to probably experience some significant growth. Have you went and talked to this person yet?
Which person? The upfront, the guy who's retiring?
Correct.
I have an appointment with him on September 28th. So he's actually through BioT, they assign you a mentor. So he's the closest to me. So he's going to get to know me very quickly.
Perfect. So
records request.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you're going to be able to be like, hey, you're retiring. Listen, we need to talk about how you're, how
I think he might feel better about it. He's probably feels like crap. I'm going to drop the ball on all these people and they're just going to have nowhere to go, or, or at least think so. So I'm hoping he feels good about it.
Sure. I'm sure he will. And you taking over that, you're taking over, very, mid 6-figure, potentially investment here, right?
Yeah.
This should put you over the $1 million mark, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have I had goosebumps about it, thinking about it. I was like, wow, how serendipitous is this for me? Like, how lucky did I get?
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for sure.
Yeah. That's that's business sometimes.
Yeah.
You sprinkle some luck on top of it too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it is what it is. But the thing you got to remember, and what people got to remember, is that luck just didn't happen. You were
Sure.
in the right place at the right time, so you made yourself available to that luck.
Right. I didn't come out of the gate thinking I would do this. And I was very cautious about every service that we added on. I listened, like I said, I follow you to a T, and it's like, give the people what they want. And that's what I've done, and it's worked out.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Okay. So with that said, your profit margins right now, what are you looking at? Like, I mean, how much are you actually taking home?
Like myself.
Yeah, percentage wise. Like, I mean, what's the actual profit of the business? You made
Oh, so we've
$70,000.
got about 100 and I think it's around 32 or 38. My husband did that for me the other day because I know we had to reschedule, and now I forgot. I was like, oh, I'll remember that number. But we could do the math real fast. So we've got 490 in revenue for the calendar year so far, and we've got about 160 in the bank. But month to month, I think we're hitting at 32 to 30.
Yeah, I was going to say. No, I mean, between a 30 and 40% profit margin is about what you're going to expect.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember looking it up and thinking, okay, I'm in because you had those moments where you're like, I don't know if anything's right or wrong anymore. And you start researching.
Right.
Normal or.
Yeah.
So, but on a day-to-day, on a month-to-month basis, when I look at my P&L, I mean, we're netting about 25 to 32.
Nice. Okay.
And I've got four staff members as well.
Very nice. Okay. So yeah, I mean, a 30 to 40% profit margin on a business that has a few employees is fantastic compared to other businesses. Like a restaurant has like 3%, 2%, 5% margins. Like, like
I Googled that. It was crazy. And I was after I learned that data, I was at a Jimmy John's, and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's so many people here. And my sandwich cost $5.
Yeah, the margins are margins at a restaurant are dog shit, to be perfectly honest with you. They're awful. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. These practices are super profitable. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, good for you. So that's that's pretty good. You could probably squeeze out a little bit more there too. And I'm sure you're writing some stuff off through the business as well. And there's some expenses there that could be kind of considered maybe probably part of your net and whatnot. I mean,
I've like moved over all of our cell phones and stuff, of course, for the business. I have a 15-year-old, 13-year-old kids. So like I'm paying them as much as I can with,
right, to clean your practice and whatnot, right?
Yeah, and make the little gift bags because all of our new weight loss get a bag and things like that. So
right, so your profit margins are probably closer to 40% versus this 32 when you factor in all that other stuff.
Right?
I mean, you got to think about some of that too when you're
it's easy to forget because you stop paying that bill through your personal and you're just like, what's happening? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I wrote off, I had personally a business vehicle and gas and cell phone, like all the stuff that you're using for business that also, you tend to use for a little bit for your personal use as well. Like you got to factor in that stuff,
No, and I was never able to do that, prior when as a W-2.
Right, exactly. So you're saving yourself a tremendous amount of money just from a tax perspective, right?
Also, for the record, I was never able on a W-2 able to max out my, IRA either. So that's nice to be able to.
No, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to max out your SEP IRA and all kinds of other things, You're just never going to build the kind of wealth that you can build as a business owner, versus being employed. There's just no way. You just can't do it.
Yeah, it's crazy how difficult it is to, make it.
Yeah, to get ahead as an employed person. I completely agree. Yeah. So anyway, so you're doing pretty good. You got a good bunch of good stuff going on here. So with that said, what's your most profitable service right now?
I'm sure you could guess. It's definitely weight management.
Yeah, weight loss. Yeah.
I'm hoping that the hormones, the pellets, kind of replicate that.
Sure, I'm sure it will. I mean, if you're going to be the only person in town doing hormone replacement therapy, I mean, that's going to definitely, increase your margins.
Yeah. And a lot of my patients already have it. And so they're like, once they found out that we were doing it, they were like, oh, okay, I'll get my notes. They're ready. They don't want to drive. The people in this area, if they don't have to go somewhere, they're not going. They're from here. They like it here.
Yeah. It's a convenience thing, right? I mean, would you want to?
No. I mean, the longer I've lived in a small town, the less and less I want to drive on the interstate.
Right. You're damn right. Same here. I hate it. I hate,
I'm like, oh my God, how do you merge? What do we do?
yeah. Right. I mean, I live in a moderate sized city of, 125,000 people. And it's like,
Yeah.
anytime I go to somewhere bigger of a million, I'm like, screw it. I can't
Yeah.
live
You're like,
somewhere like this.
gross.
Yeah.
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 These people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree with you. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't understand how people can live like around
No.
that many
Mm.
people.
When I was
Uh,
20, it was more fun, but nowadays.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. As a 22-year-old who likes to drink and party is great,
Yeah,
but yeah.
for sure.
Anyways, though, okay, cool deal. So what are you needing help with specifically here? You're trying to get
So
out of being in your business, right?
yeah, so obviously I know that takes time. I told myself I'll give myself 3 to 5 years. And if I'm still miserable and a slave, I'll sell it or close it. Because I don't want to be miserable. That's the goal, right? So my biggest question for you in regards to growing and hiring on a nurse practitioner, I know we talk a lot about, I say we because I listen to you and talk to you all the time. So we have a 1099 versus a W-2, right? And so when I spoke with my CPA, he said 1099 is probably not going to work because I'm supplying all this stuff. Like they're just going to practice here. And because I want somebody to be here 2 days a week, that he recommended that I should do a W-2, which makes me
Mm,
want to pay him or her hourly, not commission based, like you have your practice set up. And honestly, because of my variety of services, it makes it really hard to do so too. I tried to play with it thinking, okay, well, I'll just do this, and this for the weight management and the HRT and stuff and have them get, 100 or, 50 for the follow-ups and things like that. And then a percentage of the DPC memberships that they bring on. But then I'm like, well, that's going to be an administrative nightmare. Like I'm going to have to look at the calendar all the time. And you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to find ways to make my life easier, not harder, but I don't know if I'm making the right decision by doing that. It sounds like it'd be cheaper if I pay them hourly and then do like a commission with the DPC still, a lesser rate, of course. So I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about all that and like what you would probably do if you were in my situation or what other nurse practitioner, entrepreneur, that you have consulted, that kind of thing. I know there's not a lot of, you did have that really nice episode recently with the DPC guy, which was it came right on time for me. So that kind of thing, like what would you do there?
well, I mean, I'm not an accountant, okay? Like, I'm
Of
not a
course.
lawyer, I'm not a CPA, but I talk to a lot of lawyers and CPAs,
Mhm.
and a lot of business owners. And you can justify paying a nurse practitioner who makes their own schedule as a
Mhm.
1099. Okay.
Right.
You can justify that. So it's really up to you if you want to go down that route. I mean, it will save you, you know, 15%.
Right.
Uh, it's going to save them some money. It's going to save you some money. So, that's really up to you. I think you can justify 1099. Okay.
I think
So,
so too, honestly. His big thing was like, being adhering to like the schedule and stuff. And I'm like,
no,
well,
no.
or him, her, we're going to agree on what days they're going to be here and they can pick their hours. It's the days I care about,
Yeah, no,
so that I can plan around that. So I'm okay with it either way too. My biggest hurdle was like hourly versus commission based for my
yeah.
type of practice
Okay.
because I want
Well,
them to see everything. They won't be an injector, like they won't be doing tox or filler or anything like that until that's like way down the line stuff. That's somebody who wants to really be here for the long run before I'm doing any training or anything on that. But for everything else, I want them to see all the same patients I see, especially the ones that are here all the time, the weight management and the hormone and the DPC, right?
right. So if they are making their own schedule, okay, they can be 1099. So we'll just leave it at that. All right.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So let's just leave it at that. So I don't know. I like production. When you pay someone hourly, they could just be sitting there with no one scheduled.
Right. Right.
It's more of a risk to the business owner because
Sure.
this person's not being paid $15 an hour. This person's being paid 75.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it could really eat into your margins very, very fast. So
The calendar's empty. Yeah.
yeah, I would stick to production. That's what incentivizes someone to work.
Yeah.
Okay. When they're paid hourly, they don't really give a shit or not they're seeing patients.
Right. No,
You,
you're right. And
you
I do
know,
want them to be, I want them to have a little bit of skin in the game, to help me
abs-
to grow and all that. And you're going to get paid more, you know?
absolutely. I mean, if they're seeing patients and doing well, you're doing well,
Right. Exactly.
Right. So I would highly advise that um, I would highly advise that you pay them on a production based salary or,
When you interview people, do you run into a lot of people, like sticking their nose up at production based,
never,
salaries like
not
that? Never.
once,
Okay.
not once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try and just
Like,
put myself in that situation. I'm like, I don't know what I would have done. I'm a different person now as a business owner for sure. But before I was always looking for that guaranteed check to know what it would be.
no,
But I
no.
think that just depends the way you grow up and that kind of thing. But so
Yeah.
that's
I've
a hard thing.
never had an issue with it. Okay. So don't worry about it. And listen, you're the business owner. What you say goes.
Right. Yeah. And
They
what
don't.
about your workflow? Like, I mean, I'm sure you've delegated this off by now, but I mean, looking at like I try and think about like, okay, well, I'm going to manage their calendar, obviously, to see how many patients they've seen and which one's canceled and which one's no showed or whatnot. It just seems like a nightmare, like going through that to make sure I'm paying them the right way.
Yeah,
I'm a
not real.
spreadsheet girl, though. I mean, I could work it out, but it just
It's
you
really,
don't. Am I overthinking it?
yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, just at the end of the month, you look at the schedule, you see what patients they saw, you add it up, and you pay them.
Right. Right. No, no,
Like
for sure. Like it just,
it
I don't know.
takes 15
It's probably
minutes.
because I'm just so overwhelmed with everything right now that I just like, oh, another thing to do. But if I can have somebody seeing more patients, I'd have less things to do for a while.
Yeah, exactly. It takes you 15 minutes, and how much time did that person save you?
Right.
Hours, hours,
Yeah.
and hours, and hours.
No, for sure. And the goal would be bring them on just 2 days, 3 days a week, and then eventually 4 days. We're only open 4 days a week. So.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and the other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about the workflow part of it.
All right. So I'll run the numbers on that then and see how it shakes out then, because that was my biggest hurdle right there. I was like, I don't know if I should do hourly or not, because I know there's the savings, of course, with the taxes and whatnot. But yeah, so we actually are going to start interviewing next week, so it'll be perfect timing for this. So
Good. Now, have you considered? So stick to a production-based model. Okay. As long as they're reaching close to $100 an hour on average, then that's about what you want to shoot for. Okay.
okay.
I mean, I've mentioned this before in other podcasts multiple times. I pay my providers $100 for new patients, $50 for follow-ups. That's what I pay mine. It works. Right. It's simple. They work 4 or 5 hours a week and they make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Like it's good side money for them.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to make that anywhere else. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
Right.
It's difficult. No, like our going rates here are garbage. Unless you're in acute care. It's just like you're just not making any money. And even
Right.
then you're underpaid.
Yeah. I mean, wow. How much is the ER paying hourly in your town, in your area?
85.
85. I mean, it's not bad money, right? But you work your ass
No,
off.
but it's still, yeah, you're busting it. And
Yeah.
you think you're a slave, like your schedule will change at the drop of a dime, effective immediately, like
Yeah.
we're not a 12-hour shift,
Right. Exactly.
or that kind of thing. You have no control.
You have no control. And if you work a 12-hour shift, you make $1,000
Right.
versus they can come work for you and work 12 hours for almost the entire month and make $2,000. Like it's a no brainer,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
most nurse practitioners that you will interview will be all about it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. Now, malpractice is another consideration that you're going to need to, you're going to need to make. With malpractice, do you pay for it? Do they pay for it? I typically will
Right.
just reimburse my providers for their malpractice policy.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's typically what I do. So what I'll do is I'll be like, listen, just buy a policy through CMNF Group, for example. Make sure that my LLC, my business, is named as an endorsement on it. That way, if they get sued, you're going to be covered as a business owner. Okay, your LLC will
Right.
be covered. Okay,
Okay.
so if you do that and then just have them, pay for it through CMNF Group, for example, I
Mhm.
just reimburse them for it. And the great thing is that these providers are going to be very part time. They're going to be working, typically 10 hours or less a week for you.
Mhm.
Okay. So therefore, they get that part time malpractice policy discount with CMNF Group. So it's like $800 for the year.
Oh, that's good.
In my state anyways. I mean, other states are
Sure.
going to, are going to differ. Right. So it's fairly affordable and I just reimburse them directly for it. You can get a big group policy if you want to cover the entire practice, to cover the entire business if you want to, but those tend to be a little bit more expensive. And
Yeah, I'm shopping around right now because I just did my renewal and it's just crazy how expensive it is. I actually reached out to that new vendor that you posted, WM something or other.
yeah, Wellness Medical Protection Group's pretty good. I mean, they are a broker. So they will
Yeah.
find you the policy that works for you and they're going to make sure that you're being covered for what you're doing.
Yeah, which is a an important that's important to me too,
That's
find
the
out
most
later and be
uh,
kissing my own ass goodbye. So,
right. That's the most important thing. Like,
yeah.
are you covered or not for what you're doing? Like for my malpractice policy, I can't do aesthetics. I can't.
Right.
If I say I'm
Right.
gonna do aesthetics, they drop me immediately, and they just don't provide aesthetics coverage. They just
Yeah.
don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mine, increased, of course, when I added that for
Right,
sure.
right. So you got to make sure you're being covered for what it is that you're doing. Okay,
Mhm.
because if you're not, then what the hell's the point? Right.
Right, no, 100%.
Right. So anyways, though, yeah, so just make sure that they have a policy. CMNF Group should cover, for most things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And so you can just do that and just reimburse them. That's what I would do. But get a quote through Wellness Medical Protection Group. See what they quote you at. Sometimes it actually might be cheaper to get a group policy versus reimbursing people. So,
Right.
you're only hiring one provider now, but I can guarantee you in a year you'll probably be hiring another.
Yeah, my goal was to hire one for 2 days a week. That freed me up for temporarily, and then when they were full, I would start seeing, I'd have to fill the gap again, right? And then grid them to 4 days, and then once we're both busy again, hire another one, and then pull away, hopefully, a lot more and not come back. So,
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, your goal your goal should be 3 providers minimum at some point in the next 2 years.
would you
And
say full time or just like here working to
no, just
cover the
part-time people.
just
Part-time
okay.
people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have multiple part-time providers there. If you
Okay.
have one person that runs the show, you are dependent
Mhm.
on that one person.
Right.
Okay? Screw that. You don't want to be in that kind of situation. And then they have the power. Okay. You don't want to
Yeah.
be in that situation. Okay. You can tell
Yeah,
them to take.
I had to hire, just yeah, like a nutritionist, health coach type, employee to help with the weight loss follow-ups, like, because I couldn't grow because I was spending so much time. My calendar was booked out with, I was booking like 6 weeks in advance for a new patient because I had all these patients sitting here with monthly follow-ups. So
Right.
I instead of hiring a provider then because I wasn't really ready, I just hired a health coach to do the monthly check-ins and see how they're doing, that kind of thing, to keep them accountable, get their refills while they're here, that kind of thing.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing, right? You can do that.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, wow, yeah. So just make sure that whoever you're hiring, kind of keep them in more of a part-time, more, keep them on a part-time basis, and then, that way you can have 3 of them or so, and then that way, if one leaves, you're not scrambling.
Okay, yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense.
yeah. But for right now, if it's just you and another nurse practitioner, if that other nurse practitioner leaves, you're scrambling.
Right. Instead of being like, oh, okay, you pick up more hours, that kind of thing. That's just smart. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So make sure that, be thinking about that. Hire someone, get your feet wet, get the confidence that, okay, this other person's seeing patients, they're doing a good job. People, they don't mind seeing them versus you, blah, 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 blah. After about 6 months, you'll gain that confidence and you'll be like, okay, there was really nothing to worry about here. I'm going to hire another one now.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're paying them production only, like I said, there's no risk.
Right. Yeah. Cause you're only paying them when they're making money for you.
Exactly. So there's no risk for you. Right. So, yeah. So any other questions about hiring someone?
No, I don't think so. The receptionist is a shoe in. I mean, that's super easy to do. I've done it, I feel like a million times now. So yeah, that was my big one. So, and I feel better about it. Just kind of talking with another business owner. I don't have any colleagues that own businesses, so it's not in healthcare at least. So it's just like, what do I do? Am I doing the right thing? So
Well, more and more of us are. So
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's that. So in terms of growth or anything, I know that right before the call, we just talked for a minute or two.
Yeah.
You were kind of talking about some anxieties about growth and maybe spiraling out of control. Like,
Yeah, it's
what do you
yeah,
mean?
I think, like like I said a million times already, I've listened to a lot, and I think women in particularly, we struggle with this a little bit more than our counterparts, but I always just feel like the wolf is out the door, like it's gonna fall apart tomorrow and this was all for nothing. And what was the point? Like it's especially because you're just so immersed in it in the beginning. You're just spending all your time worrying about the to-do list is never done. Letting go of that is a little bit of a learning curve. I mean, I've definitely improved. The more money we've made, that's always helps. You're like, oh, okay, it is doing, like the numbers don't lie, right? And
Right.
so it's hard, I've got, kids at home, a husband who's really, really helpful. Like I don't have to fix anything here at all and that kind of thing. And he's really supportive, but it's just a lot, I definitely underestimated it. I was a highly productive nurse practitioner in any setting I've ever worked at, highly adaptable, kind of thought, oh, I'll be good at this. And I'm super organized. I love budgeting and money and, all those things. So I was like, oh, it'll be easy. Like this is what I was made for. And then I jump into it and I'm like, fuck. What
Yeah.
have I done? Like, there's days, that I go home and I'm in tears thinking like, damn, I do nothing to be an employee again. Like I want to clock in and clock out and be done. And those are fleeting thoughts, of course, because then I want to see what's at the other side of this. I want that freedom.
Right.
So it's just hard. That's the hardest part.
So listen, this is a completely normal emotion, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I still have those kinds of fears. Like, is this actually still going to be profitable? Is this still going to be something that's going to be relevant 12
Right.
months from now? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that for every business I have. Okay.
Right.
Like, am I still going to be doing this well a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 months from now? Right.
Right.
You're always thinking about these what if situations. Well, what if semaglutide, for example, gets taken
Right.
off of the shortage list? Oh no, what am I going to do? Or,
Yeah.
what if I get sued? Or,
That's
what
what I'm
if,
trying
what
to,
if?
yeah, for sure. And diversifying, of course, helps. And like, the worst thing can happen is what? We get another job, we start over again. Like
That's
really, like it's not. I'm gonna have a job.
right.
It's
That's
kind of
right.
irrational.
Yeah, it's irrational. That's the worst case scenario is that you
Yeah.
have you have to close the shop and you go get a job again making $130,000 a year or whatever. Like that's the
Yeah.
worst case scenario. Like do you realize that for most business owners in this country, if they have to shut their business down, they are shit out of luck.
Right. Like
They're
what?
getting a
Where else do they go?
Where else
Yeah.
do they go? They're getting a job at Walmart. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not
No,
educated. They
we're
don't have a skill set or something.
sure. Yeah. Having like a true licensed position and, the education behind you definitely changes things. The security is there for sure.
The security is there, right? And then
You
if
just
you
have to remind
start,
yourself of that a little too often.
you do, yeah, yeah. And then you also have to be thinking about some other diversifiers as well. How do I limit my risks? How do I limit my uh, how do I limit my need for the business? And by that, I mean, how do I become more independent, even from my own business and from my own
Right. That's funny. I
finances?
had that written down. Like, how do I remove myself from this? Because that's the one thing is like people come to see me at this point. I don't want them to come to see me. I want them to come see my vision and the
Right.
people and so that's I'm slowly starting to put some more boundaries in my schedule. I've locked down a little bit more. And then in terms of asset protection, regarding, I don't have many assets right now, but regarding the business structure. So I know that a lot of people have like a holding company that'll hold their business. Of course, I just started with the traditional LLC. I'm going to go S Corp in January. But like, I'd like to, I mean, I know that you're not a lawyer by what it means, but in order to restructure that, like, would you recommend that I get a parent LLC that like buys? I don't like, how do I even put what I have now underneath something else? It seems like this is the top, right? Like, how do I?
Super simple. You just form another LLC, and then literally in your operating agreement for the LLC that you have now, you literally just you just change the member to the LLC and you sign off on it. It's literally it.
Oh,
There's nothing complicated to it. There's nothing complicated about it.
yeah. Okay. And then it's okay. Because I did do some a DBA of sort thought process on that, and then I realized like, no, I don't want to just DBA everything. I want to protect all service lines.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the LLC should protect you. You could have an operating company, this kind of stuff, but yeah, you want to get yourself out of the business. That's part of what I meant there. But the other part that I meant about being independent of your business is that you're independent from the cash flow that the business provides you. Sure, that you're hiring, you're hiring other providers, to start seeing patients for you. You're getting out of the business as the provider, okay? But as the business owner, how do you make yourself, how do you basically build a financial fortress to where if that business closes down, you're not scrambling and freaking out. Or if you get sued, you're not scrambling and freaking out. Okay. You have to figure out a way to become a little bit more independent from even your business. Because if you have all your eggs in one business, that business closes, you're screwed still. Right. You're still living paycheck to paycheck from your business.
Yeah, right? It's definitely a goal. It definitely takes, a lot of income to do that. And
it does.
It's definitely on my plan. I just, and so I may need your help within.
Yeah.
You're on the. I think that was that article that I was looking for. I finally found right after I sent you the dang email about how to like do that, because like you end up with all this money, and I'm like, well, I don't want to just take it all home. I want to put it somewhere to start growing, like towards protecting myself and creating other lines of, passivity and those type of things, so that I can not worry as much, for sure. And I think that would help. And it's like, where do you start? Did you start with like real estate, or did you start with just like, answer that for me. Where did you start with that? Like, what was your first line of defense?
The emergency fund, first and foremost. Sure. Right. Having them 6 months in the bank of living expenses. Right. And then that went up to 12 months. Now it's 5 years. Right. Like I have 5 years of living expenses sitting in like a high yield, CD.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like shit can totally hit the fan, and I'm good for 5 years. Yeah. And I'm not talking about living as a bum either here. I'm talking about $100,000 a year. Like I'm still living pretty comfortably. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, that takes time. That didn't happen in a year. Okay. That took 6-7 years to build up.
Right. To slowly get your small one, get your 6 months. Right.
Exactly. You start putting a little bit more into it. Right. You put a little bit more into it while you're putting money elsewhere too. Okay. So you have to, so I started with the emergency fund. Okay. That's your base. That's your foundation. Right. That's your little mini FU fund.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then at that point, you start putting your money into investments that make sense for the current time. Right now, real estate just doesn't make sense. I don't give a shit about what anyone says. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Right. We record this September 2023. Interest rates are 7-8%.
Are they
7-8%. And for an investment property, 8%. Okay. If you want to get a commercial loan, I've done that before. I've gotten commercial loans for properties before. A couple years ago, I could get those for 4%. They're 10% now, right? So, right, interest rates.
Not to mention the price of homes, or
and then the price of the properties, right? It doesn't make sense. You're not going to make money. You will lose money. Like you buy a $200,000 house now, it's a shithole.
Oh my gosh, I know. We found, we were looking, you get alerts. Adults are always looking at real estate for no reason. And it was like a trailer, like an old meth lab for 180. And I'm like,
Or
wow. And it's
it's
like dilapidated. Like you have to like demolish it. You can't even live in it.
right, right. And if you want like a duplex, 400, $500,000, like
Yeah,
it,
please.
it doesn't make any sense. It
No,
just doesn't. You can't make the numbers work. Like,
100%.
yeah, you don't get a return. If you do get a return, it's like 1%, some bullshit like that. You can make more money in a savings account. You know,
Right.
like it just, yeah. So with that said, I would not recommend real estate right now until stuff settles down a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to be years from now. So you might as well just kind of just put it on the side burner unless a really good deal happens. Okay.
Right. And usually to get in real estate, I mean, you're looking at a couple, $20,000, $40,000 really, right?
To put down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you want to put 20% down so you can get rid of
Yeah.
the
So depending on,
PMI.
yeah. Right.
Right. So I mean, yeah, this, $400,000 duplex, you're putting 20% down, you're putting 80 grand
Yeah. That's crazy.
for a 1% return. That don't make no damn sense, you know? So yeah, I would just put that on the side burner. So, I started 5-6 years ago when it made a little bit more sense, right?
Right.
I haven't bought rental real estate in almost 2 years now. It just doesn't make any sense. All right.
Right.
So with that said, then you go to the next thing, right? And so you want to start putting your money into something that protects your money, but allows it to grow. And so, obviously you have equities, you have stocks and, index funds, you got bonds. Bonds right now are, they have a very attractive interest rate as well. The stock market right now is, it's very volatile. I haven't really made a whole lot in the stock market in the last year and a half because it just goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down.
Kind of there.
It's just, I'm kind of just breaking even, but the dividends and the interest that those investments pay me, I'm actually quite ahead. I'm 5-6% ahead, actually. Yeah. So what my recommendation for you is to build up that emergency fund. Okay. Just try to get 12 months if you can. If you have 12 months of living expenses in the bank, it reduces your anxiety significantly. And then just start putting your money away into some bonds, into some CDs, and just a very basic equity portfolio post-tax. Okay. Just put in a few, total stock market index fund kind of things. All right. And just slowly start building that up. Before you know it, your brokerage account will hit $100,000. Before you know it, it'll hit 200. Before you know it, it'll hit 500,000. Before you know it, it'll hit 1,000,000. All right. It's going to take a couple years to get there though.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to make you a financial fortress. That's going to provide you that FU money. Is going to put you in that position of FU. I don't need this regulation. I don't need this horse shit anymore in my life. You can step away.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But that's going to take 5 years to get there. Okay. Unless, you get this 1,000 BioT patients, you start growing even more. I know some nurse practitioners out there that are making almost close to $1 million a year in profit.
Yeah, that's wild.
What do you do at that
we
point?
could dream, right? I'm ready for it.
It's not a dream. It's a reality. Like, it can happen.
Let me find out.
Yeah, it can happen. Okay. So, I mean, I know multiple people that make that kind of money. All right. The thing is, you just stay living the same way you're living now.
Right.
Don't go buy a $200,000 sports car and a $3 million home. If you do that, you're still a slave.
I have no desire to do that. Like, I can't wait to pay off. We refinance our home for 15 years in COVID, and we're ready to just be done with everything.
Right. Pay it off, pay your debts off, continue living below your means. And then that money that you're making, you put in the market, you put in some bonds, you let it grow. And before you know it, you're a multimillionaire. Okay. It's some hustle. How old are you?
34.
34 years old. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you're doing a lot better than I was doing at 34 years old. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're doing good. Okay.
It's so hard. You're just like, okay, day by day. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it. There's some days that are really difficult for sure.
It is. It is.
But I try it. I want everybody to do it. I want the big healthcare systems and the big all of that crap. I want to shrivel up and start dying off.
Right.
Patients just get better care. Like providers are happier, patients are happier, outcomes are better. Like that's what it should be about. And it's nice to be able to sit down and not hate your patient because you're not rushing through everything and you just don't care anymore.
100%. Exactly. Get the middle finger to the healthcare administrator, making $250,000 a year, sitting on their ass doing like, what do you do exactly? I'm,
Right.
I'm, I'm
Yeah.
curious. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Right.
hey, you need to stop the clock on this or whatever,
Right. Right.
our tough
Uh,
ones.
yeah. Yeah. I know. Uh, well, anyways, though, I think that if you do that, it'll help kind of get rid of those negative thoughts, and yeah, and just don't be too hard on yourself about it. So,
Thank you.
uh,
Yeah, I'm going to work on that for sure. So.
yeah, yeah, it'll come. It'll come. All right. It takes a couple years to, kind of grow a little bit more out of that. And to just become a little bit more okay being in in the shoes of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, is you just get comfortable with it.
Exactly. So
I sometimes relate it to just being like a new parent, like I was like, this thing is breastfeeding and I need to get out of here, like instead of, you're like, oh, it's in daycare now, it's better. Or, you're like
right.
a new parent versus like, oh, they're 15 now. They're kind of walking on their own, doing on their own thing. They drive themselves to school.
Right. It just gets better and better. Right.
Yeah.
Should anyways.
Should.
Yeah.
Right. For sure.
Well, any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. It's been super helpful, just kind of running everything through. So
Sure.
I appreciate your opinions for sure.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to help. I like to end the episode with you asking me a question. You have any questions for me? Personal question, curiosities, anything like that?
Yeah, I think personally, after this conversation we've had, I mean, where's your next step from here? Like, what is your next goal? I mean, you've got your savings account, you got your little boy and your family. I mean, you've got your businesses going. So, like, you just sit back, chill, relax, or do you have like big dreams?
It's hard to really pinpoint that down. I mean, I'm in a position where, in the last 6 years, I mean, I have hustled my ass off.
Right.
I paid all my debts off. I mean, my mortgage is paid off. I mean, I paid all my debts. I've saved a lot of money. I've invested some money. I've won a few things. Some investments have really done well. Some other ones have not. But yeah, I mean, I'm approaching that position of FU. I'm approaching that financial independence, financial freedom kind of.
That's great. It's great to have that option. I think a lot of us out here, striving to get there. And so
it's possible. Listen, I mean, I'm a nurse practitioner, just like you are, just like any other nurse practitioner listening to this. I'm not all that special. All I did was.
No, I believe it 100%, especially all the other people that you've seen that even have probably, gone on to even do better than you have so far with like other clinics and, those kind of things. It's fascinating, really.
Yeah. There are other nurse practitioners who took my courses, consulted with me or whatever, and they're doing better than me now. I'm like, well, damn, like, you were just right place, the right time, and sprinkle some luck on it.
I bet that feels really good though. I mean,
hell
you've done a lot for, our profession. So
it feels great. So I guess next step for me is just, I'm figuring out how to be a little bit more in the moment, how to enjoy actually being in the present and not thinking so much about an outcome in the future. Right. Like I'm trying to be more present. I'm trying to be more process focused than outcome focused. Like, this is where I want to be 2 years from now. This is my goal 1 year from now. This is what I want. This is what I want my son to be doing a year from now. Like, I'm trying to be a little bit more in the moment, because what I'm finding is that the older that I'm getting, I mean, I'm 39 years old. I mean, I'm still fairly young, but the older that I get, the more I'm finding is that happiness comes from being in the moment and enjoying where you're at in the present time, because that's the only thing that's guaranteed to you right now is the present. So I'm trying to find that inner, I'm trying to find that peace, I suppose, to be happy in the moment versus always being so outcome dependent. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. We talk about this when I say we, my husband and I, a lot, because I'm just like, I'm always ready for the next dang goal. I've been chasing goals my whole life. First, it was like, get out of poverty, get a house, stop living in your minivan with your infant, do this, do that, become a nurse, get your BSN, get your master's, go do this. And it's always just been like, hurry up, get to there and then be happy. But you get there and then you're like,
I'm
not happy still.
You're not any happier.
Yeah, and it's really about that Atomic Habits book really goes into that a lot. So it's really interesting to hear, all people from all walks of life and all situations feel that way. And over the last couple of years, I think it's gotten worse because I mean, our phones and, social media, and like, we're always so driven and pushed and pulled in all these directions. And it's like, can we just,
right.
chill?
Right,
For
right.
sure. So I agree with that 100%. It's also something I'm after too. It's difficult. I've like put my phone on lockdown, like alarm fatigue, notification fatigue. Yeah, at 7 o'clock, that thing doesn't make a noise. I can't see anything. I'm not allowed to touch any app. Thank God for technology because I think we all have an addiction.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, my wife talked about that too. Like after 8 o'clock, those phones go off. Shut that damn thing off.
Yeah, we
Shut
keep
it
them
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the kitchen. We have like a hub now. It's like everybody put your phones down and talk to each other.
Right, exactly.
Or
Be in the
else.
moment. Right, 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 right,
Yeah.
right. So, anyways, well, listen, it was a pleasure talking with you. I hope this helped.
Likewise.
If you have any other questions or whatever, just shoot me an email. I'd like to do a follow up.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad
All right.
our calendars finally got to align.
Yep, cool deal. All right, take care. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Nicole. Very important episode here. She started about a year ago and $70,000 in revenue. Like, it's pretty impressive. She's going to do very, very well. And when she gets these 1,000 pellet patients, she's going to really blow up. She will have $1 million practice in 12 to 16 months. I'm pretty confident about it. And so, this is a thing. You have to realize that you're probably going to be a slave to your business. You're going to be dependent on your business for a little while. It just is what it is. Okay. You are the product. You are the provider. People are coming to see you. Okay. So you're going to be a slave to your business at some point as it grows. You're going to work in your business. You're going to be employed by your business. The only way to mitigate that is when you hire another provider, start seeing patients for you right from the get-go. That might not be realistic for most of you because, you don't have $50,000, $60,000 sitting around to pay someone, right? So you have to realize this, okay? Be thinking to yourself during the first year or two of your business, when you start feeling like you're becoming a slave to your business and that you're just working your ass off for your own business. When these thoughts start coming and you're starting experiencing this fatigue, it's time to hire someone else to begin seeing patients for you so you no longer become a slave to your business and you're no longer so dependent on it, okay? And also diversify your investments, diversify your income streams. Don't rely on just your business. That's foolish. Have money elsewhere that you can always lean back on. All right, hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Talk to you guys later. Thanks, bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcast. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.